Hello, everybody. Tonight we're going to be talking about an apparition inside the children's orphanage. Tonight's story, I'm going to take you back to a fairly small town, but big for the area, a place called Alton, Illinois, one of the most haunted cities in the United States. There ain't a street you can't walk on, a building you don't see that don't have some kind of haunting attached to it. Well, there on State Street, there's a great big huge old building. Even the building looks sad. That's been an orphanage since 1930s, maybe even longer. Well, these nuns that are there, the original ones come from Germany. And they started an orphanage and well, the diocese did, but the nuns run it. They also took care of the some of the prisoners of the war between the states. They even got two hospitals that the nuns have a lot to do with. And I keep saying nuns because the diocese and the damn priests always are like a bunch of hogs at a fucking slop table. They always take all the credit for what these nuns do. And I think these nuns deserve a little bit of credibility and a little applause and appreciation for all they do because them big fucking hogs at the archdiocese and those fucking priests root in and steal all their charity work. So tonight we're going to praise the nuns a little bit. There was a young one. Her name was Sister Agnes. She was a pretty good sized lady, even in her younger days when she come there as a young nun. Now, contrary to what people may believe, those nuns are really good people. So anyway, she got the orders that she'd be working at the orphanage. Now, Sister Agnes, she's a pretty good sized lady, and she had a heart just as big as she was. But don't ever think you step out of line. She wasn't going to give you a little tough love because she would. Now, you got to understand about this particular orphanage. It still stands today. Now it's a place for troubled kids. They go there and go to school. They kind of learn a little bit of a trade. And let me tell you something about these nuns. Don't know if any of you know any. I do. Know a lot of them pretty well. If those nuns take an interest in you, they will help you in life get good jobs. And they'll continue to watch over you. But, you know, you have to understand these nuns. They have a job to do. The diocese are real fucking assholes. These nuns work through a lot of bullshit. They take a lot of shit from these priests and the fucking diocese. and them pricks in Rome. You know, the Pope on the rope? Yeah. So, next time you see a nun, smile and wave. Maybe even say thank you for all they do that they don't get credit for. I know what that's like. Being an ex Navy SEAL, you go out there and do a job, you never get to take credit for it. Of course, when Bomb was in there, you know, that little fucking raghead that everybody thought was black, that motherfucker started in, well, hey, SEAL Team 6 went in and got Bin Laden. Bomb should have kept his queer mouth shut. He should have kept on sucking Big Mike penis. But anyway, I know what that's like when you ain't allowed to take credit for risking your damn life and doing your job. Well, these nuns are the same way. I have seen them go out and leave bags on doors for people to put one can of corn in there, maybe one can of beans. Then they would bring that sack to a hospital or any drop off point. Then those priests would load it in a vehicle and take all the goddamn credit for what these nuns have done. They've walked those streets and still do. Right down the center of the street in the hood. While these priests sitting there and get drunk and think about playing with little boys and girls. Yeah, I don't have too much respect for them. But I do the nuns. Well, anyway, Sister Agnes was sent there, and by all accounts, she was a good lady, unless you pissed her off. Now, again, in an orphanage, you may have a couple hundred kids or 300 kids, maybe a few more, a few less, whatever. But you got to understand, these nuns had to be the strict hand that kept these kids in line, kept them from doing shit they shouldn't be doing, and try to show a little compassion because that's what nuns do. We're so busy in our lives that we don't think about things like that. These ladies should be commended. Well, you also got to remember too, in this orphanage, since it was run by the nuns, evil will try to rear its ugly head up every chance it gets. So they had to be not only vigilant about the kids, they also had to be vigilant about evil creeping in. Now, as a kid, I can remember going past there many a times and you'd see them nuns with all them kids out there playing Ring Around the Rosie, jumping rope. I even knew one of those nuns down there, little skinny thing. I mean, she didn't weigh no more than a flour sack. She could actually dribble a basketball, run and slam that ball right through that basket. Whip them kids every time. They done some remarkable things. You'd see them out there, and sometimes they'd have story time out there. Or sometimes they'd be out there, the nuns, with all these kids. They give them their big old piece of paper. They do some watercolors of the trees and leaves. They try to spend time with them, but you know, with that many kids, it's hard to have time for everybody. But they tried. That's the thing. They tried. Well, over the years, Sister Agnes got schooled. Nighttime, she'd take a nap in the early afternoon. So nighttime she could be awake and she'd be on patrol. And let me tell you something, she walked those halls with her little flashlight, her rosary beads. Well, she got the habit where she'd walk and she knew those some of those kids wouldn't be asleep and they'd be maybe in there smoking a cigarette, maybe in there looking at some dirty magazines. You never know. Sometimes they would even open a window at nighttime. That was a no no, a big no no. And Sister Agnes had ears like a bat's radar. She'd walk past her room and you could hear the squeak of her shoes. Squeak, squeak as she come down the hallway. Sometimes she would stop. She'd reach down by the bottom of the door, the crack in the door, and she felt a breeze. She popped that door open, flipped that light on. She'd go in there and slam that window down and lock it. And she said, "Now, kids, evil comes out at nighttime to play. We don't need evil in here." Well, them kids would be like, "How the hell did she know?" She got schooled and got smart. Well, as years went by, her legs started getting the better of her because she was an old nun. She got old after a while, and the diocese, in their fucking infinite wisdom, started keeping that track on her. Will she be able to do her job? If not, do we need to move her someplace else? Now, these nuns, they stuck together. They had to. Hell, they was fighting the diocese and these fucking priests. So several years went past, and she started out walking with a cane. And at nighttime, she'd be in there in her little room, putting ice packs on her knees, and her knees just didn't like the concrete. Which, you put as many miles as she did around that big ass orphanage, your knees would be wanting to give out too. Well, then her ankles started bothering her, then her hips. Well, she had went to a doctor at the place that they ran, and they told her, said, what it is when you're walking, you're slamming all them joints. She goes, "But I love these kids. I want to keep them safe." And they said, "Yeah, but you're going to have to calm down. Maybe think about riding a wheelchair, maybe." Well, a light bulb went off in her head. So after the meeting with the doctor, she went back and they was all the nuns was like, "Sister Agnes, what did you find out? What did you find out?" It's my legs, my knees, my hips, my ankles. Concrete over the years been just doing a number on them. Well, a few years before then, there was a baby boy brought to the orphanage. Sister Agnes had a soft spot for him. And over the years, she watched out for little Robert. Well, little Robert was a good boy. He didn't really never ever do nothing wrong. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. He not only had respect for the nuns, but he was a little bit scared of Sister Agnes because he'd seen her snatch somebody up before. He damn sure didn't want to be snatched up. So he made a point to always be extra nice to Sister Agnes. And if boys was acting up in the room he was in, he'd pull the cover up over his head, just lay there and let them act like a damn fool. Knowing Sister Agnes caught him, somebody's hide was going to be nailed to the wall, and it wasn't going to be his. Robert prized his hide. He's like, and no thank you. She snatched you up a good one. Well, Robert grew up to be a fine young man, and I knew him. He was still a good man. Well, as Robert grew, they let him do extra things around there because he was just one of those kind of people. I mean, you could trust him. If he told you the sun was going to come up in 10 minutes, you can bet 9 it would be up. That's how good he was. He's just honest and a hard worker. Sometimes he'd even volunteer in there in the kitchen to help do some dishes, maybe take out trash, maybe clean the floors. He's always volunteering to do something to keep himself busy because them nuns told him idle hands is the devil's playground. And he believed it. So it come the day, old Sister Agnes is always making around at nighttime. And sometimes she'd open the door in his room and she'd go in there and toss his hair a little bit and ask him if he was okay. But she just took to him, kind of took him under her wing. Well, years later, Robert grew up, and she had the daunting task of having a talk with Robert. His 18th birthday was coming up, and she was now, Robert, diocese won't let us keep you. We're not just going to throw you out in the curb, the road, but we're just telling you you're an adult now. You're going to be an adult. Now we're going to have a big party, and you're going to have to start thinking about what you want to do with your life. Well, other than what he learned in there, he didn't have very many skills. Well, Robert was sad because that's the only thing he knew from the time he was a baby. He was brought there and dropped off. So he's sad. Them nuns, they made a great big cake for him, chipped in some money, and got him some things that he'd be needing for when he left the orphanage. They even dug through and found a box and had his name engraved in gold lettering on this big fancy Bible. And each one of them nuns signed their name in there and dated their names so he'd never forget. Well, now Robert all thrown into his head is, I'm going to be tossed out of my ear. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? I ain't used to the outside world. Never been out there. All I've ever seen was across the fence there. What would it be like out there? Are they nice people? Is Satan going to come and run off with me? Am I going to get robbed? Stabbed, shot, maybe? All this running through his head. Them nuns became his family and those other kids in there. That's all that boy knew. He'd never been off of the property. Oh, he knew what a car was because he'd see him going in and out of there, and some of the people that worked there drove cars and parked, the ones that didn't live there. But he didn't know anything about outside of the yard. That's all he ever knew. Well, it come the day, and them nuns made a real pretty big giant. I mean, a big giant loaf cake. I mean, it was huge. They not only made one, but they made several because there were several hundred kids in there. Each one of them would get a slice of cake, and them nuns took shift work, and they even made homemade ice cream. The good shit. Not that shit you get at the store. I mean the good shit. That's so thick you put it on a spoon, and you hold on to that spoon and you try to flip it a good one. It don't even come off of there until it starts getting melty. And then it's creamy. Good shit. Well, it come time for the gifts, and Sister Agnes presented him with that Bible and said it was from all the sisters. Even Mother Superior signed it. She opened up the cover and there was all these names and their titles, so he'd never forget. Because there was all different ages of nuns. There was old nuns, young nuns, medium-aged nuns. Well, as those nuns got old, they would take them down closer to the river to one of their hospitals, and that was a retirement. They called it the villa, 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 and they would live there until they passed away. And their rooms, this is no shit. Their rooms were plain. You had a bed, you had a TV stand, and a small TV, not one of these big flat screens, not one of these big 32-inch. They had a nightstand by their bed with a chair that could slide in there like a miniature desk. They had a cross on the wall, and that was pretty much it. I've seen some of these rooms. Well, Sister Agnes proceeded to tell Robert that, hey, it don't mean you got to leave today or tomorrow, but you got to start planning because you got 1 year. But don't worry, we found you a place to live where we can keep an eye on you and help you out on your journey through life. Well, them big giant frog tears started rolling down his cheek. Well, hell, all the nuns even started crying. Then some of the orphan kids started crying. It was like a cry fest. Well, Sister Agnes pulled her hanky out, wiped her tears, and she goes, Robert, and she got him by the chin, lifted his head up. She goes, now, Robert, this'll always be your home. You just can't live here. So, anyway, she goes, now here's the deal. You'll come here and the job for you. You're gonna come here and you could be janitor, one of the janitors. He goes, but I can't sleep here. She goes, no, the diocese won't allow that. Well, he decided that maybe they knew best, so he decided to just leave. whenever they told him. So they said, "We'll show you the house that you'll be living in." So anyway, he goes over to look at the house over there, and it's a beautiful, tiny little house, good neighborhood. And the bakery was 3 doors up. They had some of the best goddamn donuts you ever ate. And this boy would start getting his breakfast there and getting some for the nuns even. Well, they told him he had to be gone for 12 hours, then he could start work, which would be like the next day. Well, over the years, poor old Sister Agnes passed away right after Robert started there. And she was a good nun. Well, all of them were. Well, that night, Robert was at work. And he's still sad, because he'd worked and she passed away. That was like his mom. Well, anyway, he's in there riding around the parking lot because he didn't have a vehicle yet. He had to ride a bicycle back and forth to work, which wasn't real far, but still. So anyway, old Robert, while working there one night, he's sitting down in the cafeteria having his milk and his donut, and some of the other people are sitting in there with him working nights. Well, they're all sitting there talking and eating their snacks, and some of them even went outside to smoke. But before they did, while they was all sitting there, out of the clear blue, they all heard it. Sister Agnes, way before she died, they got her a bicycle and they put a bell on it to save on her legs. She'd ride around on that bicycle in them hallways. So it'd save her legs and hips and stuff and kind of help her out with her health. But they were sitting there on break, and all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, they heard it was Sister Agnes, the ghost of Sister Agnes. But they all got up. Robert knew that sound because he's the one that put the bell on the bicycle for her. Because they told her, their diocese, told her, said, you can't be riding a bike, you run over somebody, they'll come out to go to the bathroom and you'll run them over. Well, them other nuns stuck up for her. And they said, what if we put a bell on it? Well, Robert's the one that put the bell on there for her. So he knew it. Well, he sat there, damn near choked on his donut. And all of a sudden, he gets up, runs out the door, down the hallway, and he's listening. All of a sudden, he hears she was coming around the corner toward him. Robert was scared of what he was going to see, but he loved Sister Agnes. I mean, he loved her like a mother. Because to him, that was his mother. That's how he looked at it, and that's the way kind of she looked at him as her son. Even though they never could say that. Well, he didn't see her. But on passing at the next corner, he could hear that bike squeaking the tires on that waxed floor. Come to the corner, and all of a sudden he heard the bicycle go around the corner of the tires. So he went running toward there, and nothing. The next corner, he could see the next corner, and all of a sudden he heard it again. That was to let people know on the other side of that corner that she was getting ready to make that turn on that bicycle. Well, every bend, and he followed along, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. Next corner, the same way. Well, old Robert, he's broken hearted, and he does the only thing he knows he can do. He hollers out in vain for Sister Agnes, and I'll be damned. He heard that bicycle stop, and all of a sudden he heard it. She come to a stop, and he's bawling because he missed his mother. Well, here come that bike down to the corner where she would make that corner facing him. And again, and she come on around the corner. That bicycle rode right up in front of Robert, but he couldn't see her. And when it got right in front of him and stopped, he heard that again. So all of a sudden, as she's stepping off the bicycle, he can't see it because she's invisible. She's a ghost. He hears that same bell. And he goes, Sister Agnes, I have missed you and missed you and missed you. I've loved you with all my heart like my mother, and I don't have a mother. All of a sudden, he felt a cold hand on his shoulder. When he looked up, there was Sister Agnes standing there, looking down at him. And she grabbed him by the arm and helped him get up. And she goes, between me and you, I've always loved you like a son I never had. And she goes, I'll always be here to watch over you, just like I'm going to watch over the rest of these kids. Now, I'll always be around to make sure no evil touches you. When you pass away, I'll come to get you. And said, you'll know it's me when you hear that's our little signal. Robert was tickled to death. And she goes, now, Robert, you know I've got a job to do. You got a job to do. You need to go back down, do your job while I go do mine. But you know this much. I will always love you. I'm always going to be watching over you. Evil will not touch you. I give you my solemn word. When you go home at night, I'm there with you. When you come back to work, I'm with you. I will watch over you. Well, with that, she gave him a big hug, which that she couldn't do that much. When she was a nun, she'd got in trouble. So she leaves, disappears, and he hears the tires going the other way. And all of a sudden, she gets that corner and he hears this. Well, he wipes his tears, stands up, and a big smile creeps across his face. He went back downstairs and grabbed his cart, went and done his job. But periodically, every hour, he'd hear that. He'd just smile. But this went on for quite a long time. Him going to work and hearing Sister Agnes. Sometimes a door would even open when he'd hear that bell. Well, Robert just smiled. Well, several years went by and I got to know Robert. I met him just by chance. He was a damn good guy and still is. And get this, Sister Agnes, being a ghost, found his mother and convinced her where he lived and his address and that she better make amends and straighten her ass up and go see the boy and tell him why she abandoned him. Now, this lady, she goes, now just so you know, this is how Robert know that I come and found you. And she said, you be sure and you tell him this. And the lady was like, well, what is it? And she goes, you just tell him Sister Agnes come to you and this is what you heard. He'll know it's me by that. Well, this lady give up the craziness she had been doing for years to herself, got cleaned up. She made the trip to Alton, Illinois. Robert got to go to work one morning, and there she was at the door. And Robert, not knowing, was like, can I help you, ma'am? She had stopped at one of the little stores, and she goes, there was this nun that kept appearing at my house and told me I need to straighten my ass up and come talk to you. And he goes, a nun? Yeah, a ghost of a nun. First thing that popped in his head, Sister Agnes. And she goes, I was supposed to give you a message so you'd know it was her. And she pulled this bell out and she goes, Robert got the biggest damn smile on his face. Now, it was going to take years for Sister Agnes to get this lady together and tell what she'd been doing and why she left Robert at the orphanage. Well, they've been trying to be friends, him and his mother, and I got to know him real well. He was a good guy. I always felt sorry for him. Other than Sister Agnes, he didn't really know what it was like to have friends outside of the orphanage, and it took a long time for him to trust me, but I never done him no wrong. And eventually he got to trust me. Well, he was telling me about this. Well, I had to go see it for myself. So he invited me to come over to the orphanage about 10 o'clock that night and spend the whole night just following him around while he was cleaning. And he said, you'll see or hear her. Okay. So I showed up. He let me in the back door and locked the door so those kids don't take off. We were sitting there in the break room talking and kind of cutting up a little bit. And he goes, now, if you got to smoke, you have to go outside. Just let me know. And he said, I'll open the door and let you out, and I'll lock the door and I'll let you back in. He said, I might just better stand with you. Okay. He goes, but now, whatever you do, keep those cigarettes hid because he said some of these kids might ask for one and they ain't supposed to have none. Deal. He said, because I don't want to get in trouble. I said, no, I don't want to get you in trouble either. I said, but I do want to see or hear Sister Agnes. I want to experience that. I said, not that I don't believe, because I do believe in ghosts. He goes, well, you'll believe in Sister Agnes. He said, she'll trust me, she'll make you a believer. Oh, we was sitting around and he goes, well, let's go make our rounds. So we go check all the trash cans up on the floor above us. Well, there was a little short, skinny, blonde headed lady, wore a ball cap, and always pulled her ponytail out the back of her ball cap. Real funny lady. Her and her husband, real nice people. Well, we go upstairs, and I'm helping him pushing the cart while he's grabbing trash bags and empty them inside this big basket I was pushing on this cart. And I'll be son of a bitch. All of a sudden, I start hearing it sound like a set of tires way off. He goes, are you ready? Yeah. He goes, Sister Agnes is making her rounds. Cool. He said, but please, you didn't bring no camera, did you? I said, no, no, I didn't. He goes, well, she's like my mom. Okay. He said, so if you ever talk about her or tell a story about her, please be nice and respectful. I said, I promise you, Robert. And I'll be son of a bitch. Every corner I'd hear it. Letting people know she's coming around that corner so they can get run over if she didn't have a wreck on that damn bicycle. Hear that squeak, 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 and all of a sudden, squeak, 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 until she got to the corner right in front of me. She made that corner, and just by the time she made that corner, I hear that, and there she is. Her glasses, her havoc, even her big rosary with a cross on it, I could see, and that pale blue bicycle. I mean, I could see her from head to tire, the whole thing. And she's looking straight at me, and I'm looking straight at her. And she comes up within about 5 foot from where I'm standing, and she hits the brake and starts to step off that bicycle, and you hear that. Now, she's standing there, the bicycle's not moving, she's holding it, and that bell started in again. She looked over and she goes, Robert, is he with you? Is he okay? Robert said, yes, Sister Agnes. He just wanted to meet you. She looked back at me and she goes, your name? I said, Henry, ma'am. She goes, you can call me Sister Agnes. I said, okay, Sister Agnes. She goes, so what is it you wanted? I said, I'd heard a lot from Robert about Sister Agnes, and I just had to meet you. I was hoping to. That's all. I said, he told me a lot of stuff about you, and it was all good. The boy really loved you. And she goes, I him. She goes, he been okay? You mean tonight? Yeah, he's been okay. She was good. And then she looked back at Robert and she goes, how are you and your mother getting along? Is she still being keeping on the straight and narrow? He goes, yeah, she comes to go to church with me every Sunday. We go over there to the Catholic Church, St. Peter and Paul. Every Sunday, we make sure that we go to church. We never miss a day. She goes, well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad I reached out to her. And he goes, thank you very much, Sister Agnes, for introducing me to my mother. She goes, you deserved a good mother. She on the straight and narrow? And he goes, yeah, she is. He said, it's still taking a while to get to know her, but we're getting there. She goes, that's all a person could ever ask. And said, you been keeping up with the Lord? Yes, ma'am. She goes, glad to hear. She goes, well, I better get on my way because you know how them kids are. Every one of them open a window and light a cigarette, or one of them get one of them old dirty magazines. I gotta go run ramshank on them. And with that, she pulled a big old ruler out, a yardstick, and she goes, "I got this, and I also got a ping pong paddle if they get out of hand." Robert goes, "I felt both. Every one of those I felt." He said, "I even had her one time grab me by the ear," and she just laughed. She goes, well, you was never ever a terrible kid. You just had to be redirected. And he goes, yeah, you redirected me right up against the wall. And she started laughing. But they sat there laughing for a few minutes. And of course, I started laughing, even though I was shocked and amazed that we're talking to a ghost. But a better ghost you'd never find. Well, that night, I knew right then and there. Love does bridge the gap between our world and their world, the other side. Because that night, I seen the love in her eyes, and I seen the love in Robert's eyes, and the respect they had for each other. And you know something? That touches you down in a place that nothing else can touch you there. It's a sacred place. Well, years have passed, and people still talk about that work there and some of those kids there as they got older and got their self straightened out. Would always sit around and talk about Sister Agnes and her bicycle. No matter how many kids go through there, how many kids make it through and go on out back out to the real world after they've been corrected, set straight. To this day, when they hear that, they stop what they're doing and just a big smile creeps across their face, and every one of them say the same thing. Sister Agnes, I'm trying to be good. Please don't crack me with that ruler or hit me with that Bible. And they just kind of smile because it's kind of just a funny joke, you know. But she'd correct you if you needed it. But that bell got into all these people's heart that she had encountered when she's alive, and even now she's passed on. Well, give you an idea how Sister Agnes could be. It's according to what she had to do to deal with you, even as a ghost, especially a ghost. Either one, ring that bell and open that door, and then get over there by your bed and ring that bell to wake you up when you're sitting there pretending to be asleep. I know what you've been doing. You best repent, and you best take them cigarettes out of that mattress, and in the morning you better take them downstairs and turn it in and turn yourself in and pray the Lord for forgiveness. Otherwise, tomorrow night I'll be back. Well, some of them thought they was dreaming, hoping they was dreaming, didn't do it. Well, next night they'd hear that bicycle coming, and all of a sudden, before the door opened, they heard. Then they opened the door, Sister Agnes did, and when she'd go in there, her face would be completely blacked out. Whatever it took to scare them straight. So when you got out of hand, you didn't listen to the first warning. The next night, she might show up with no face, or she might show up and fold you up in that bed. But in any case, whatever she did, you always had the warning that she was coming because you would hear that. That was a warning. That was for who the bell tolls. She snatched you up out of that bed. Well, she's a pretty good ghost. I mean, she's really not harmless. I mean, she's fairly harmless anyway. But she will direct you to the light. Trust me. And if you're running a crooked line, she will straighten it out for you using you as an example, dead or not. But the one thing you'll never forget about Sister Agnes is her bell on that damn bicycle. So the next time you hear this sound, whether you be at a store or wherever, maybe to make you think about Sister Agnes. Or if you see a nun walking down the street, you might think in your head as you smile, you might think in your head you're hearing this and get a big old smile. Could that be Sister Agnes? Never know. Could be. Ghosts ain't tied to just one spot. They can be several places at one time if they want to be. But I will tell you this. If you was ever to meet Sister Agnes, you'd know, you'd feel the love from that woman and the respect. And I'd hope that you'd give her the same respect. Even though I'm a heathen, I cuss. I don't drink no more though. I gave that up years ago with that cow incident. That was the last time. I figure if I'm gonna be talking and thinking about tipping cows, I better just give that shit up before I get hurt bad. I could have got a paper cut or fell in one of them damn holes. But I'm a good heathen. I ain't out there messing with no dope and chasing women 'cause I'm married. I let all that shit go. I do smoke, and that still make me a heathen. I will cuss too. Sometimes I cuss like a sailor, maybe a whole group of sailors, hell, a whole damn fleet. But I got a good heart. But at the same time, like Sister Agnes, don't back me against the wall, 'cause I'm coming out of there. Well, I'm glad I got to talk to y'all and talk about Sister Agnes. I just wish there was more people like Sister Agnes that had that kind of respect for fellow human beings and took care of kids like that. Sometimes you had to give them tough love. But for the most part, if you was walking the chalk, she was damn good to you. And those nuns, I swear to God, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I've known them for years, a lot of them. If they take a liking to you and you show them the respect they deserve, them nuns will open doors for you and they will take care of you and watch over. If you lose a job, they'll help set up a new one and get you another job. Just don't lie to them. Be kind to them. And if you're a heathen like me, try to be as nice as you can. I mean, trust me. I smashed my finger. I said, "Oh, son of a bitch," or "God damn, that hurt." But now would I say anything like that in front of them? Hell no, I don't want to eat no damn yardstick. Besides that, I wouldn't do it to them anyway. They got enough bullshit put up with. I always had a lot of respect for them nuns, all of them. When I lived way up north, I knew some of them up there. I know them all over the place. They're pretty good people. They really are. They're good at heart. They'll do anything in the world they can to help you. So next time you see a nun, think about Sister Agnes and her story and her bell on her bicycle. I hope this story may have touched somebody, maybe put a smile on somebody's face. Maybe if they was an orphan, maybe they lived at one of these Catholic orphanages. Maybe they got attached to one of them nuns. And well, I hope you enjoyed tonight's story. And if you did, give me a thumbs up. Maybe leave me a message. I read all messages, good, bad, and the ugly. I'll answer back. So y'all have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.